What's good, sports fans? Are you ready to elevate your live entertainment experience? Well, let me introduce you to SeatGeek, an amazing platform that connects you to your favorite events while saving you money. With SeatGeek, you can easily find tickets for sports games, concerts, and so much more, all in one place. The interface is user-friendly, making it simple to browse and compare prices. And one of the best features is the interactive seating chart. You can see exactly where you'll be sitting and how much you'll be spending, ensuring you get the best value for your money. But here's the best part. Check this out. By using my promo code, ChalkItUpSports, you can enjoy a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. That's right, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Imagine catching that thrilling game or concert without breaking the bank. It's a win-win situation. Plus, you'll be a part of a community of fans who eat, sleep, and breathe live events just as much as you do. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app today. And don't forget to use my promo code ChalkItUpSports for a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. Get excited. Now let's get back to the show. Yo, what's good? This is your boy, Tone DeShields the second. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I know the vibes, you know the energy. Make sure you guys smash that like button. It's so important for you guys to exercise your power as consumers. This show goes as far as you'll take it. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are staying engaged in the comment section and in the chat box. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well. On top of that, you have options here. Not only can you lock in on the content via the playback on YouTube, but you can also lock in via Apple Podcast and Spotify. You can watch the podcast or watch the show there. And you can also tune into short form content on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you know, where I share my opinion on things, so on and so forth. So just make sure you guys are connected. Make sure you guys stay abreast on any updates, any changes regarding Chalk It Up Sports. So again, make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I know it's Saturday, and usually Saturdays it's kind of a dry spell, right? And when you think about it, from the perspective of the off season, this part of the off season, that in between time between OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and training camp is always brutal. We have literally a month before the Eagles return to the Novacara complex for training camp. As a matter of fact, your Philadelphia Eagles will report to training camp on July 22nd. Today is June 21st. So we have approximately 31 days. We have approximately 31 days, something like that. So it's going to be really exciting. We're that much closer to the 2025 season. The 2024 season was everything we expected and more. And I don't expect anything less from the 2025 campaign. You know, a lot of people had great seasons like Nolan Smith. Despite injuries, A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith were productive. Dallas Goedert had a really good playoffs. I mentioned Nolan Smith, but his production just went crazy in the playoffs. Jaylen Carter had a good season. Saquon Barkley obviously did amazing things. Jalen Hurts was efficient and effective, playing point guard all season long. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. There was production. Zach Baun, right? CJ GJ, Reed Blankenship, N'Kobe Dean, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Morrow, Jomo, Jordan Davis. I mean, there was production all across. The offensive line was productive. There was so much production from the 2024 season and the 2025 season. We expect nothing less. Nothing. We don't expect anything short of spectacular football play from the Philadelphia Eagles. We know they're going to be competitive. We know they're going for not only the division, but they're also going for the conference and the Super Bowl. Once again, they're trying to repeat something that's not easy to do. But regardless, I think what I want to do is I want to take this off time, this dead time, to kind of revisit what certain players have done and what we could expect from them in the 2025 season. One person I want to focus on in particular today is DeVonta Smith. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We got a lot of stuff to get into. You don't want to miss it. If you guys are tuning into the playback right now, you guys always appreciate it. But there's somebody in particular I want to focus on today, and that's DeVonta Smith. DeVonta Smith has had a spectacular career for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's not even pretend like it's been anything but that. DeVonta Smith, not only is he professional off the field, he's always ready to go come game time. I look at DeVonta Smith. He came into the league in 2021. He was 23 years old, and 22 going on 23, however you want to slice it. His birthday is in November, so he turned 23 during the season. Nonetheless, DeVonta Smith is somebody who's been nothing but productive for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? He's been reliable. He's been healthy for the most part. This is his first season where he's really missed like multiple games in a row. But he's been productive. And he's been somebody you ultimately can rely on. DeVonta Smith, his approach to the position is so boring. And I mean that in a respectful way. Success is boring. Consistency is boring, right? When you're doing things the right way all the time, it can get boring. It can become monotonous. And when you really watch him run his routes, he's so smooth. He makes everything look exactly the same to the point where you don't know where he's taking the rock. You don't know where he's going. So DeVonta Smith has been somebody that's just been so steady for the Philadelphia Eagles since his rookie season. He's been a great target for Jalen Hurts. I mean, in 2021, he was the number one and came in with over 100 targets, 64 catches, 916 receiving yards his rookie year, 5 touchdowns. Could have had more numbers, but the Eagles were run heavy in 2021. And that's kind of just been what the Eagles have been throughout his tenure here, right? 2022, he had a breakout season, 17 games played, 136 targets, 95 catches, almost 1,200 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. 2023, 16 games played, 112 targets, 81 catches, just over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns again. And in 2024, 13 games played. He missed 4 games, 89 targets, 68 receptions, 833 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. So DeVonta Smith, if he would have never got hurt, he would have had over 1,000 yards easily. I mean, he would have had 3 years in a row of over 1,000 yards. But when you just look at his overall production for his career, he's averaging 1,000 yards a season. He's averaging just over 1,000 yards a season per 17 games, right? Over a 17-game average, he's averaging 119 targets a season, 83 catches a season, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns a season, 13 yards per reception. DeVonta Smith has just been steady Eddie, skinny Batman, rubber band man, the Slim Reaper. He's just been very steady. But now I ask myself, because we know how good DeVonta is, right? We know we consider DeVonta to be one of the best receivers in football, PFF has him as a top 20 receiver. I believe they have him ranked 17th to be specific. And they have A.J. Brown ranked number 1. I'm personally not mad at DeVonta Smith's ranking. When you think about all the receivers in the league, for him to be ranked 17th, that's really not bad at all. Every team has a number 1 and a number 2 receiver. There's 32 teams in the league. That means there's 64 receivers that he can properly be compared to. And he's ranked 17th out of 64. Hey, that doesn't sound too bad to me. And then A.J. Brown being ranked number 1 out of 64 going into the 2025 season, that doesn't sound too bad to me. And then when you talk about being the best duo, they're the best duo in football, A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, right? A.J. Brown has gotten most of the accolades, though. A.J. Brown has been a 3-time All-Pro, second-team All-Pro to be specific. I also believe A.J. Brown, he has the Pro Bowls under his belt as well. A.J. Brown just gets most of the accolades as it pertains to the Philadelphia Eagles at the receiver position, right? 3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He's gotten MVP votes. He's gotten Offensive Player of the Year votes on different occasions. A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown. We're not going to pretend like he's not who he is. But DeVonta Smith has his own accolades, right? Most of them are on the college level. And they're very dominant, as a matter of fact. Shout out to my girl, Fanny, with the reminder here. DeVonta Smith, college football champion, Heisman winner, Super Bowl champ, only 1 of 5 players that ever done it. It's a fact. His path, his success, his accolades are very unique in comparison to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown has more of the pro accolades. DeVonta has a lot of the college accolades. I mean, that to be a Heisman winner at wide receiver is nuts. To be not only a Heisman winner, but a college football champion and a Super Bowl champion, that's ridiculous. You feel what I'm saying? And to be instrumental every step of the way. Every step of the way, to be instrumental, to be dominant every step of the way has been remarkable. DeVonta Smith is one of the best things that ever happened to the Philadelphia Eagles from a wide receiver perspective, for sure. But again, I revisit DeVonta Smith's career. I bring all this stuff up because although we know how dominant he is, how good he is, how great he is, as a matter of fact, it seems like he's still underrated in league circles. Again, to be ranked 17th, according to PFF, out of 64, number 1 and number 2 receivers combined, I mean, to be ranked 17th is a great place to be. Do not get me wrong. He's one of the best route runners in football, if not the best. But I ask myself, what is it going to take for DeVonta Smith to get that Pro Bowl or that first or second team All-Pro nod? I've been thinking about that lately. What's it going to take from a production perspective? And we're not going to spend too much time on this topic because I got a lot to get to with you guys. But it's something I've thought about, and I want to check the temperature with you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are active in that comment section, in that chat box. If you guys want to donate via super chat, you have the option to do that as well. And on top of that, you have super stickers. But I've been asking myself, what is it specifically going to take for DeVonta Smith to get that All-Pro first or second team or Pro Bowl nod? So then I went back and I said, okay, what was the production like for our 6 wide receivers that got All-Pro? They give it to 3. They give the All-Pro nod to. They give first team to 3 receivers, and they give second team to 3 receivers. So I'm looking at the 6 receivers who received All-Pro nods in the 2024 season. You have Jamar Chase, who was the first team All-Pro, Justin Jefferson, who was also first team, and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was first team. Then you get to second team. Terry McLaurin was a second team All-Pro. CeeDee Lamb was second team, and A.J. Brown was second team. I noticed a common thread, though. You guys can look up these stats for yourself if you like, but I noticed a common denominator with the first team All-Pros. Let's start with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, in 2024, he had over 1,200 receiving yards, 115 catches, and 12 touchdowns, right? So over 100 catches, over 1,200 yards, and double-digit touchdowns, right? Then we get to Ja'Marr Chase, over 120 catches, over 1,700 receiving yards, 17 touchdowns. So once again, over 100 yards, over 100 receptions, over 1,700 receiving yards, and double-digit touchdowns. And then we get to Justin Jefferson. Over 100 catches, over 1,500 receiving yards, double-digit touchdowns, right? Now, those are the first team. So the common denominator between the first team All-Pros at wide receiver are over 100 catches, 1,200 yards or more, double-digit touchdowns, right? Double-digit touchdowns. Now, when you get to the second team All-Pros, right? CeeDee Lamb, over 100 catches, just under 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns. Terry McLaurin, just over 1,000 yards receiving, 13 touchdowns, 82 catches, though. Right? And then A.J. Brown, 67 catches, just over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. So what I noticed here, the common denominator is the first team All-Pros, they check all 3 boxes. Over 100 catches, over 1,200 receiving yards, double-digit touchdowns. Whereas, though, the second team All-Pros, they only check 2 out of the 3 boxes. Either they have over 100 catches, and over 1,000 yards, but they don't have double-digit touchdowns, or they may have over 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns, but they have less than 100 catches, so on and so forth. So if you ask me, and pardon if there's a connectivity disruption, you guys. If you ask me, in order for DeVonta Smith to get that Pro Bowl or All-Pro nod, be it first team or second team, he has to start checking more of those boxes, right? In 2024, he had 68 catches, 833 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. Now, granted, that's really good production, right? Especially for a guy that missed 4 games. He missed 4 games and still got that level of production, right? He had a career high in touchdowns, and his yards per reception were pretty on par. He also had a career high in receiving success rate. But his best season in totality was the 2022 season, like A.J. Brown's as well. But it's really not that crazy of a disparity. So again, I look at DeVonta Smith and I say to myself, okay, we've seen him get over 1,000 yards, but he hasn't scratched that 1,200-yard mark yet. We've seen him get close to 100 catches. He had 95 in 2022 and 81 in 2023. And then, as far as touchdown goes, he's been pretty steady right there. 5 in 2021, 7 in 2022, and 2023, respectively. And then he upped it to 8 in 2024. So he hasn't gotten the double-digit touchdowns yet. He hasn't scratched 1,200 yards yet. And he hasn't really scratched the 100-catch mark yet. He's come close. So I want DeVonta to start getting the respect he deserves. I think he does get solid respect, again, to be ranked 17th amongst 64 number 1 and number 2 receivers according to PFF. To be ranked 17th, that's not bad at all. It's great. He's a great number 2 receiver. He'll be a number 1 on many other teams. But with A.J. Brown, he's a number 2. That's just the way it works. But if DeVonta is going to get that all-pro or Pro Bowl nod, because that's how you get in the Hall of Fame, right? He has the Super Bowl ring. He's the league. He leads the Eagles all time in playoff yards, right? He's going to own that unless A.J. Brown just starts going crazy after a while, or Dallas Goedert if he's here for a longer period of time. I expect DeVonta Smith to own that mark. Once again, it's not like he has A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith has almost 600 yards in receiving yards in the playoffs for the Eagles, whereas though A.J. Brown only has, make sure I got this right here, A.J. Brown only has 309 receiving yards, but that's via 2 seasons though, or 2 playoff runs. So in 7 playoff games with the Eagles, A.J. Brown has 309 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, whereas though DeVonta Smith in 9 playoff games with the Eagles, not 595 yards, 2 touchdowns. So if everything maintains, I expect DeVonta Smith to continue to be the all-time leader for playoff yards for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't expect that to change. And once again, unless A.J. Brown just goes crazy. And I expect DeVonta and both A.J. to retire as Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I expect. They're going to be here at least until 2028, 2029, right? But I think if DeVonta can crack that 100-catch mark, can get you 1,300, 1,400 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, I think that can put him in second team, first team All-Pro conversations. I really do. Granted, it all depends on what other guys do around him. If Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, if those guys just have better seasons, they have better seasons. But the good thing about DeVonta Smith is, what's dope about him is he's one of those players, if you know, you know. You know what I mean? He may not have the All-Pros and the Pro Bowls on his resume, but if you know, you know. Anybody that's going to look back on this game, even if he doesn't make the Hall of Fame, if he doesn't get the Pro Bowls or the All-Pros, anybody that knows football, anybody that looks back on this game and remembers what they watch, they're going to say DeVonta Smith was one of the best to ever play. They're going to say he was one of the best to ever play. He was one of the guys that did it right. So, we'll see if Smitty can get those Pro Bowls and All-Pros, because that's how you get the Hall of Fame nod. You got to have the All-Pros on your resume. You got to have the Pro Bowls. He has the Super Bowl ring. He has the his production is there. He has to up it. He's averaging 1,000 yards per season for his career. DeVonta has, in 63 games played for the Eagles, 441 targets, 308 receptions, over 4,000 yards, averaging 13 yards of reception, 27 touchdowns, 189 first down receptions, right? Averages 63.7 yards per game for his career. He's been very productive for the Eagles. He's been great. And his body control, the ability to have spatial awareness, his footwork, the toe tap swag on the sideline. I mean, I think he has A.J. Brown beat in that regard. As far as that sideline work, that toe tap work, I think he got A.J. beat in that regard. Sorry, I just do. But regardless, though, I think we're going to have to see DeVonta Smith crack 100 catches, get over 1,300 receiving yards probably, and double-digit touchdowns. That's what we're going to have to see for him to be considered for Pro Bowl or second or first team All-Pro. That's what we're going to have to see from him in 2025. I think he can get it done. I actually think the Eagles are going to throw a little bit more this year. I just don't think Saquon is going to have that same workload. Hence why you brought in A.J. Dillon. Will Shipley, what's the next step for him? Right? I do think the Eagles are going to throw more. I do think it's remarkable, though, that DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown have had this level of production in a run-first offense. That's what's so dope about it. That's what people kind of lose me at, where they try to act like Jalen Hurts is holding A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith back. These guys have been uber productive in this offense. They've been superbly productive in this offense, being the fact that it's been run first, right? So, we'll see. We'll see. Let me get to some of your comments here. Once again, shout out to my girl Fanny. She says, college football champ, Heisman winner, Super Bowl champ. He got the triple crown. Only 1 of 5 players to ever do it. That's a fact. That's a fact. Make sure you guys smash that like button as well, you guys. It's really important to the overall success of the show. Let's see what we got here. Sweet Chip Music says that catch against the Jags this season was crazy. That probably was the best catch of the season. I don't care what nobody say. That was my favorite catch of the season. The one-handed catch against the Jags. That Jacksonville Jaguars game gave us a lot of iconic moments for the Philadelphia Eagles. It gave us an iconic moment for DeVonta Smith. It gave us an iconic moment for Saquon Barkley. It gave us an iconic moment for Kobe Dean. That game was riddled with moments. And that game should have never been close, frankly. You know, the fact that the refs I'm not going to get into it. Let me not do that. But regardless, though, that Jags game gave us a lot of moments, man. A lot of moments. My favorite catch of the season was the DeVonta Smith one-hander. That's my favorite catch of the year, by far. I don't think there's been a single catch this year from any player that tops that. The Jahan Dotson catch was good too, but that was almost borderline. Obviously, he had to have the concentration, right? Dotson had to have the concentration to make the catch. Let's not get it twisted. He needed to have the concentration and the focus. But it was almost fluky. You feel what I'm saying? It was a little fluky. That DeVonta Smith catch was all intention, pure intention. He saw that ball coming. He knew the only way he catching it, one hand. That was my favorite catch of this. Maybe there's been other receivers across the league that have had spectacular catches, and I don't doubt it, right? I've seen some of them. But there's not a catch this season that I've seen that rivals that DeVonta Smith catch. That catch was that football wasn't even like a. When Jalen threw that ball, he put a lot of velocity on it. He put it only where he can get it. But he put a tremendous amount of velocity on that throw. And for DeVonta to snag it and bring it in and have the focus to toe tap in the back of the end zone, that ball was coming in hot. That ball was coming in hot, man. I know Garrett Wilson had one of the best catches this year, too. I remember that game. Who were they playing against, though? It was the Jets versus who was that? Garrett Wilson had a spectacular catch this past season. But the DeVonta one, I'm sorry, that's my favorite. The Texans, yes. Thank you, Joshua Mullins. It was the Texans. Thank you. Alex with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you for donating, my friend. He says, off topic, but after seeing exciting Mike's new episode with Nolan, he needs the C on his chest next season. Also, Carter's quote regarding his extension sounds like he's following QB1's example. And that's the thing, right? When you have two things. One, Nolan Smith, he's going to be a captain before his career is over. Like don't be surprised if Nolan Smith ends up being like a gold C captain, meaning that he's a captain for multiple. Like I think you got to be a captain for what, 4 seasons in a row or 5 seasons in a row, something like that. So expect to see the gold C on Jalen Hurts' chest this season. Expect to see the gold C because he's been a captain for 4 straight seasons. But Nolan Smith, I wouldn't be surprised if Nolan ends up being a captain for 4 straight seasons, getting that gold C later on in his career. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Nolan's personality, his attention to detail, his commitment to his teammates, his commitment to himself and developing is remarkable. And as far as Jaylen Carter, his quote regarding his contract, it's important for your quarterback to set the example. It's important for your quarterback to set the trend because winning is contagious and people will do anything to keep that train rolling. And people want to be a part of that. So, and also Jaylen Carter is no stranger to winning. He's won on every level. He's won in college, 2-time national champion. He's won on the NFL level, Super Bowl champion, right? An All-Pro. He's already on his way to a Hall of Fame career, right? He's already on his way. So we'll see how Jaylen Carter's contract goes. I think he's going to be the highest paid D tackle in football, though. But it all depends on how the cap hits go. Eagles and Heat fans says you have to be captain for 5 years. What I'm saying is, though, you get the gold seat in the 5th year. You got to make captain the 5th year. So I guess we're technically saying the same thing. You got to be a captain for 4+ years to get the gold seat. Because what I said was, once you make it past that 4th year, you go into your 5th year as the captain, you get the gold seat. So I think we're kind of saying the same thing, but just saying it in different ways. But regardless, though, yeah, you technically have to be voted captain 5 straight years to get the gold seat. Because you get 4 stars, you get a star for each year. And Jalen Hurts had his 4th star this season. So he's going to get that gold C. He's going to get that gold C going into the season this year. And don't be surprised if Nolan gets a C at some point. Don't be surprised. But yeah, man, DeVonta. I think DeVonta, he has all the opportunities in the world to get that All-Pro, Pro Bowl nod. He had. I think he gets 100 catches, over 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns, and he gets it. That's what I think. But we'll see, though. Health is wealth, obviously. We'll see. All right, I got some other things I want to talk to you guys about. Let's not waste too much time here. I kind of spent a little more time on that DeVonta Smith topic than I really wanted to. I want to talk to you guys about. Jeff Kerr. Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports. Jeff Kerr came out with his all-quarter century team for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. Jeff Kerr, sports reporter. I've worked with him in the past. You guys have seen me work with him before. Jeff Kerr, he came out with an all-quarter century 53-man roster for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think it's pretty cool that he did that. So pretty much over the past 25 years, he pretty much came up with an all-time team for the past 25 years when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's get into that real quick. Let's get into that because I think that's going to be really cool to talk about here. All right, so let's see. So at quarterback for Jeff Kerr's all-quarter century team, I'll bring it up on screen here. It'll make it easier. All right. Once again, this is Jeff Kerr's Eagles all-quarter century team, and he made a 53-man roster. Okay? So let's get to it here. So to start off, at quarterback, he has Jalen Hurts, Donovan McNabb, Nick Foles. Those are his QB 1, 2, and 3. Those are his top 3 quarterbacks since the year 2000. Over the past 25 years, again, this is an all-quarter century team, not an all-time team, okay? All-quarter century. So that excludes Randall Cunningham. That excludes Ron Jaworski. That excludes all those guys that we love so much from back in the day, okay? It excludes those guys. You had to have played for the Philadelphia Eagles from 2000 and beyond, okay? He has Jalen Hurts, Donovan McNabb, and Nick Foles here. He's excluded Carson Wentz. He's excluded Michael Vick. Those are the 2 notable names he excluded, of course. Understandably so. Let's read his reasoning here. He says Hurts was going to make the quarter century team regardless of his Super Bowl 59 victory, a game which he won the league MVP. The only quarterback to take the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls, Hurts has the NFL record for most total touchdowns by a quarterback in his first 2 Super Bowls with 7. The Eagles have made the playoffs every year with Hurts as the starting quarterback and have a 46-20 record with Hurts as a starter. The 69% win percentage is 5th best by a starting quarterback since the 1970 merger. It also says Hurts has upped his game in the postseason, completing 66.8% of his passes with 10 touchdowns to 3 interceptions with a 95.4 passer rating. He also has 10 rushing touchdowns in the postseason, an NFL record for a quarterback. Hurts is the only player in NFL history with 10-plus passing touchdowns and 10-plus rushing touchdowns in the postseason. McNabb is the franchise's all-time passing leader, throwing for over 3,200 or 32,000 yards and 234 touchdowns in 11 seasons with the Eagles. He made 6 Pro Bowls and finished second in MVP voting in 2000, leading the Eagles to 5 conference championship games with a 98-62-1 record as a starter. Regarding Foles, he says Foles had arguably the greatest postseason by any Eagles quarterback and still has the best completion percentage in NFL playoff history with 68.1%. The Super Bowl 52 MVP, Foles threw for 373 yards, 3 touchdowns with a 106.1 passer rating in the game, while also catching a touchdown pass on the Philly special, one of the greatest plays in league history. This roster isn't complete without Foles on it, especially since he led the Eagles to their first Super Bowl title as a backup quarterback. So again, he has Jalen Hurts, Donovan McNabb, and Nick Foles. And his reasoning makes sense, if you ask me. Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1, All-Pro, Pro Bowler, the win percentage, how often he's been in the playoffs, the production in the playoffs. Donovan McNabb makes sense. He's the longest tenured Eagles quarterback, 11 seasons, Pro Bowls, in conference championship appearances, a winning record, holds the all-time record for passing touchdowns, passing yards. So I understand it. Then Nick Foles went on an unprecedented run. Nick Foles did something spectacular, and you can't exclude Nick Foles from the list. Again, he's QB3 in this regard. He's QB3. So I can't dismiss Nick Foles for what he did. He did something remarkable. He did something Donovan McNabb couldn't do. That's a fact. So let's move on to the running backs, though. The running backs, this was interesting. He has LaShawn McCoy, Brian Westbrook, and Saquon Barkley. I think this was pretty easy. To figure out. Now, he didn't necessarily specify RB1, RB2, RB3, but I think we can kind of just make the educated guess. He has LaShawn McCoy, Brian Westbrook, and Saquon Barkley. That makes sense. It says here, the Eagles had plenty of talent at running back over the years, including 3 game changers for the franchise over the past 25 years. McCoy is the franchise's all-time leading rusher, rushing for over 6,700 yards and 44 touchdowns with the Eagles. He was the single-season rushing champion in 2013 with 1,600 yards and led the league in rushing touchdowns with 17 and scrimmage touchdowns with 20 in 2011. LaShawn McCoy was a first-team All-Pro selection twice and made 3 Pro Bowls with the Eagles. Westbrook has just under 6,000 rushing yards and 37 rushing touchdowns in Philadelphia, making 2 Pro Bowls, having 2 1,000-yard seasons, and earning first-team All-Pro honors in 2007. He led the NFL with just over 2,100 yards from scrimmage in 2007, as Westbrook finished with over 9,700 yards from scrimmage and 66 touchdowns in his 8 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. Barkley has the NFL single-season rushing record, including the playoffs, with 2,504. His first season with the Eagles, no less. The catalyst towards the Eagles Super Bowl victory, Barkley also led the league or has the NFL single-season record in yards from scrimmage, including the playoffs, with 2,857. Barkley rushed for over 2,000 yards and 13 touchdowns in the regular season, the 9th player in league history to rush for 2,000 yards. He also has 7 touchdown runs of 60-plus yards last season, including the playoffs, an NFL record for a season and 3 more than the next highest player. 3 touchdown runs of 60-plus yards came in the postseason, a feat no other player has accomplished. So, and at fullback, they have Leonard Weaver. Fullback, says the fullback position was prevalent in the 2000s, so it was appropriate to have a fullback on this team. Weaver played just 1 full season with the Eagles, earning a first-team All-Pro honor in 2009 as a receiving threat out of the backfield. A torn ACL and nerve damage in Weaver's knee ended his career in the first game of the 2010 season. But as far as running back goes, right? LaShawn McCoy, Brian Westbrook, Saquon Barkley, we can't argue about that. Now, Saquon Barkley's he's only done it for 1 season. That's something to keep in mind as well. He's only done it for 1 season, so he has to continue to build on his legacy with the Philadelphia Eagles. LaShawn McCoy and Brian Westbrook, they've grown roots with the Philadelphia Eagles. They've really been productive for many years as Philadelphia Eagles, and it's so funny. They're all 3 different types of running backs. Brian Westbrook, he's an all-purpose back. He can run from the backfield. He can catch the ball as well. Seeing Brian Westbrook on those screenplays was always fun to watch back in the day. LaShawn McCoy, he was very elusive. He wasn't a guy that was going to put his shoulder down. He wasn't going to run into the action. He was going to dance. He was going to shake and bake. He was going to make you look silly. He was very Barry Sanders-esque in that regard. Very elusive. Saquon Barkley, he's a combination of both of those guys and more. Saquon Barkley runs with power, not afraid to put his shoulder down and knock your face off. He runs with elusiveness. He's one of the most elusive backs in football. That one cut, the ability to outrun the defenders, the ability to break tackles in traffic and in open space. Just acrobatic, just a pure athlete. Can catch the ball from the backfield as well and can block. So Saquon Barkley is like the best of both worlds when it comes to LaShawn McCoy and Brian Westbrook and some. You get a lot more with Saquon Barkley. To be honest with you. But LaShawn McCoy and Brian Westbrook, they've just been so consistent for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's hard to put Saquon ahead of them because of the tenure, because of the longevity they've sustained with the Eagles. But Saquon Barkley, if he can deliver 2 more seasons of this, right? If Saquon Barkley can give you 2 more seasons of what he did before, maybe not 2,000 yards, but 2 more seasons of just being ultra productive, ultra dominant for the Philadelphia Eagles, you're going to have to start to consider him the best of all time at running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to have to start to consider that because from a talent perspective, I mean, and this is me not trying to have revisionist history. LaShawn McCoy was a rare talent. Brian Westbrook was a rare talent as well. Brian Westbrook was more like a Marshall Faulk type. LaShawn McCoy was like a Barry Sanders type. Saquon Barkley, he's like a combination of all of that, man. If he can give you 2 more or 3 more seasons of just being productive, he can go down as being an all-time great running back for the Eagles. He may go down as being the best if he can continue to add on to what he already has done with the Eagles. I mean, offensive player of the year with the Eagles, first team All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, broke the all-time record for most rushing yards in the playoffs and regular season combined. Broke the record for all-purpose yards, broke the record for most yards from scrimmage in the season. He's a remarkable talent. Remarkable. So good selections by Jeff Kerr here. All right, we did fall back with Leonard Weaver. Now wide receiver. Wide receiver, and again, this is an all-quarter century team, okay? All-quarter century. So we're not including anybody from 1999 on back. We're only talking about players from 2000 and going forward, okay? So at wide receiver, Jeff Kerr, he chose 5 receivers. He says he has A.J. Brown, Deshaun Jackson, DeVonta Smith, Terrell Owens, Jeremy Maclin. I'm not mad at this list at all. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Kyle Kokorski with the $5 super chat. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. He says, Tone, what would be your top 3 needs for next year as a prediction? Next year? Tight end. I would say tight end. I would say man, that's a good question. Let me think about that more, Kyle. I know tight end is one of them for sure. I'll say tight end. I'm not going to say offensive line yet because we drafted a lot of guys and I want to see how they do. I'll probably say D-line. Not sure where though, but I'll say D-line. So I'll say tight end, D-line, and I'll probably throw in corner or something. Thank you for the super chat, Kyle. And Tiffany, thank you for being a member. I really do appreciate you. She says Jalen is on his way to being a Hall of Famer. Hey, man, all he got to do is keep doing what he's doing, being productive, keep winning football games, keep winning Super Bowls. It's going to be hard to deny. But, yeah, Jeff Kerr selected A.J. Brown, Deshaun Jackson, DeVonta Smith, Terrell Owens, and Jeremy Maclin for his all-quarter century team at wide receiver. I'm not mad at this. This is perfect. I'm not mad at this at all. I'm not mad at this at all. Now, Terrell Owens obviously was only here for 1 year. Jeremy Maclin was phenomenal for the Eagles. I'm a big Jeremy Maclin guy. Like, I don't care what nobody say. But whenever I played with the Eagles in Madden, during when Jeremy Maclin was playing, Jeremy Maclin will always lead my team in targets. He will always lead my team in receptions. Like, I used to feed Jeremy Maclin in Madden. Anyway, he says, there's no denying how good A.J. Brown has been since the Eagles traded for him in 2022, as he has 3 consecutive 1,000-yard and All-Pro seasons in his 3 years with the franchise. He owns the Eagles' single-season record for receptions by a wide receiver. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he owns the Eagles' single-season record for receptions by a wide receiver with 106 catches. That's true. And the single season record by any player in the Eagles uniform, 1496. Yeah, that's a good point. So he owns the Eagles single season record for receptions and the Eagles single season record for receiving yards. Also says here, excuse me. Also says A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith have formed the best wide receiver duo in the Eagles history, as Smith has 2 1,000-yard seasons in 4 years with the Eagles, with over 4,000 yards and 27 career touchdowns. He also caught the dagger in Super Bowl 59. Yeah, man, you can't deny how dominant A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith have been as Philadelphia Eagles. You can't deny it. He also wrote here, for the majority of the Andy Reid era, the Eagles failed to get a true number one For the majority of the Andy Reid era, the Eagles failed to get a true number one wideout until Terrell Owens arrived. Owens had 77 catches for 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns in his 14 games with the Eagles in 2004, breaking his fibula and returning to Super Bowl 39, where he had 9 catches for 122 yards on one healthy leg. DeShields Jackson has the most receiving yards by any player this century with the Eagles, with over 6,500 yards, and is one of the greatest deep ball receivers in Eagles history, in the NFL history. Excuse me. He had 3 1,000-yard seasons with the Eagles, 3 Pro Bowl selections, and was a second-team All-Pro in 2009, while also being one of the most dangerous returners of his era. Maclin finished with over 4,700 receiving yards and 36 touchdowns in his 5 seasons with the Eagles, including 1,300-yard and 10 touchdown season in 2014. So I think Maclin was a success with the Eagles, if you ask me. He averaged just under 1,000. I mean, he was drafted in the first round, but to be next to DeShaun Jackson, having 36 touchdowns over 5 seasons, that's pretty much an average of, what is that? 8 times 5 is 40. 7 times 5 is 35. So he's averaging 7 touchdowns a season with the Eagles, averaging almost 1,000 yards per season with the Eagles. I think Jeremy Maclin was a great player, personally. A.J. Brown and DeVonta obviously is the number 1 duo in Eagles history. And then I think you may have to put If we start ranking Eagles duos, that'd be an interesting conversation. I gotta go back and do some research on that. I don't want to speak out of turn here. I mean, it's obvious AJ and DeVonta are the number one duo in Eagles history. That's a fact. AJ and DeVonta are the number one duo in Eagles history. That's not even the question. But when you start asking who's the number two duo, who's the number three duo, some people may say, look, that Mike Quick, Irvin Fryer, or Mike Quick, Harold Carmichael combo is pretty good. Some people may take Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin over those guys. You know, it all depends. All right, let's get to the tight ends. Now, this was the one that really it starts to get a little more. I don't want to say controversial, but obviously we love Dallas Goedert. But when you just think about all-time tight ends over the past 25 years for the Eagles, it's hard to look anywhere other than Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck, and Chad Lewis. It's really hard. Like what Chad Lewis was able to do for the Eagles, Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck. Let me just read it. It says the toughest position to choose for this quarter-century team was tight end. Ertz was a no-brainer, as he has the single-season record for receptions in the season by a tight end with 116. While catching the game-winning touchdown pass in Super Bowl 52, along with a 4th-and-1 reception earlier on a winning drive, Ertz has over 6,200 receiving yards with the Eagles, most by a tight end, and second this century, and the most receptions this century by an Eagles player with 579. He also made 3 Pro Bowls. Selleck was a longtime stalwart at tight end for the Eagles, a leader in the locker room for years. His 398 catches for almost 5,000 yards are third most this century by Eagles player. Lewis made 3 Pro Bowls for the Eagles from 2000 to 2002 and was a second-team All-Pro in 2000. I'm not mad at this, man. I'm not mad at this. Dallas Goedert doesn't have Pro Bowls, doesn't have an All-Pro. Chad Lewis was productive, man. Let me look at this real quick. Chad Lewis. So Chad Lewis, 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time Super Bowl champ. He won the Super Bowl with the Rams. He was undrafted. He's from New Jersey. He started out his career with the Philadelphia Eagles for 3 seasons, and then he got sent to the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. Then he came back to Philly in 2000. His second stint with the Eagles is when he really took off. I mean, Pro Bowl, second-team All-Pro, Pro Bowl. It's difficult. It's difficult. Let me look at Dallas Goedert real quick, because maybe Dallas Goedert just is getting forgotten about. Let me look at his production. Actually, this is kind of tough, actually. This is actually tough. The only thing, this is tough. This is tough because the only thing that Chad Lewis has over Dallas Goedert is the Pro Bowls. Dallas Goedert is the Super Bowl champion. He's a Super Bowl champion. Chad Lewis is a Super Bowl champion, but he didn't play. Yeah, Chad Lewis played in 110 games for the Eagles with 77 starts, 228 catches, just over 2,300 receiving yards, and 23 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, 93 games with 76 starts, 349 catches, over 4,000 receiving yards, averaging almost 12 yards of reception, 24 touchdowns. I can understand why it was difficult. I could definitely understand why it was difficult for sure. But Chad Lewis having the Pro Bowls does help his argument. But I think Dallas Goedert is a better player. I think Dallas Goedert has been more productive in the Eagles uniform. He has been. It's not a question. And he battled injuries. So when you think about it from that perspective, I mean, it's pretty remarkable that Dallas Goedert has done what he's done, knowing he's been hurt a lot. But I don't think Chad Lewis was at that time, Chad Lewis was like the man. I remember those days. I remember how dominant he was. But the stats will say Dallas Goedert is better. The stats will say that. But the accolades will say Chad Lewis was better. So however you want to look at it. Brent Selleck, he's a no-brainer, though. He's goated to me. All right, let's get the offensive tackle. Offensive tackle, Jeff Kerr decided to go with Jason Peters. And if you guys are just hopping in, we're reading off of Jeff Kerr's all-quarter century Eagles team. He decided to create a 53-man roster with the best Eagles since 2000. All right. Let's keep this thing going here. So we got Jason Peters here. Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, Trey Thomas, and John Runyan. I'm not mad at that. Somebody might say, hey, where's Jordan Mailata? Listen, Trey Thomas and John Runyan were doing this before Jordan Mailata, and they were doing it at a very high level. So I don't want, as much as we love Jordan Mailata, let's not forget what Trey Thomas and John Runyan was doing. They was dominating the league. That's a fact. But Jason Peters and Lane Johnson, obviously, they're in a whole different category, of course. But Trey Thomas and John Runyan, not mad at that. See, the thing is, the Eagles have been good at offensive tackle. They've done well there from a developmental and drafting perspective as well. So when you see Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, Trey Thomas, and John Runyan, and you don't see Jordan Mailata, can you really be mad at that? Because I can't. I can't be mad at it at all. It says here, Philadelphia has several tackles who are going to make the Hall of Fame this century, starting with Peters, who earned 7 Pro Bowls and 2 first-team All-Pro selections in his 11 years with the Eagles. He was also a member of the All-Decade team in the 2010s. Lane Johnson has 2 Super Bowl titles as the anchor of dominant offensive lines, earning 6 Pro Bowls and 2 first-team All-Pro selections as one of the dominant right tackles in the game. Trey Thomas and John Runyan were dominant tackles with the franchise from 2000 to 2008, with Thomas making 3 Pro Bowls and an All-Pro team, while Runyan made an All-Pro team in 2002. Runyan was one of the best right tackles in the game during his era. It makes sense. It makes sense, man. I mean, you got All-Pros, Pro Bowls between these guys, Super Bowls. Can't get mad at this. All right, let's see where we at. Alex with the super chat. Thank you, Alex. He says Lane Johnson talking like he might play until he's 40. I know, right? It's funny. It's funny because, like, these guys, Lane is under contract until what, 2027, right? He's under contract until 2027. And when guys get to his point, when guys get to the point in his career where he is, you got to take them on a year-to-year basis. Even though the contract is taking them to whatever year, you have to be on a year-to-year basis with them. But Lane is playing like he's in his prime still. And let's call it what it is, man. He ain't showing no signs of slowing down. He hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. And the dude had a pretty healthy season. And if he keeps this up, man, he may be able to pull a Jason Peters. He just may. I think if Lane Johnson ever steps away from the game, it's not going to be because he can't play the game anymore. It's going to be because, he just wants to do something else. You know, he doesn't feel like going through the workload anymore. It's going to be entirely his decision. It's not going to be because he was forced out of the league. It's a lot of guys that get forced out of the league. Lane Johnson, I don't ever see that happen. I just don't. All right. Let me read some of your comments here real quick. Fanny says Jason Peters will make the Hall of Fame, not first ballot though. Yeah, he played a lot of games, man. He's just been playing the game for such a long time. He may not be first ballot though. He may not. Big Dog 215 says Milata got an All-Pro in the Super Bowl. I'm taking him over Jaire Alexander. Yeah, I mean, you know, Jaire Alexander not having a Super Bowl doesn't mean he wasn't a great player. I mean, when it comes to Super Bowls and offensive linemen, I can't really use a Super Bowl to quantify an offensive lineman's. It's different. It's a little different for offensive linemen, but nonetheless, though, if you choose Milata, I'm not going to argue with you personally. I'm not. So I'm not even going to sit here and pretend to try to manufacture an argument. If you decide to go with Milata over Jaire Alexander, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. So I get it. I respect it, you know. But Jaire Alexander did it for a long time. He was consistent for a long time. Trey Thomas consistent for a long time, you know. So that's something to think about. Ryan was very consistent, dude. You know, Ryan was the man. I'm sorry. All right, let's go to our guards here. Guards, not mad at this selection either. So at guard, Jeff Kerr selected Brandon Brooks, Landon Dickerson, Sean Andrews, and Evan Mathis. I think Brandon Brooks is probably the best guard the Eagles have ever had. Seriously. I really believe that. I feel like Brandon Brooks was one of the most dominant guards, one of the most consistent guards the Eagles ever had. Those final 2 years were rough though, because he battled injuries. But you know, Jeff Kerr says here, the Eagles have been blessed with dominant guard play over the years. Brooks was one of the best guards in football in his 6 seasons in Philadelphia, making 3 straight Pro Bowls from 2017 to 2019. Dickerson is one of the best left guards in the game today, making 3 Pro Bowls in his 4 seasons and winning a Super Bowl championship on the best offensive line in football. That's another thing, right? Make sure I got this right here. Brandon Brooks is a Super Bowl champion, 3 Pro Bowls at guard. I'm surprised he doesn't have any all pros though. Brandon Brooks was phenomenal. Landon Dickerson has the all pros, has the Pro Bowls as well. 3 Pro Bowls, Super Bowl champ. Brandon Brooks, 3 Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champ. Landon Dickerson is on pace to have a better career than Brandon Brooks. Now, who was best at their peak? I don't know, man. Brandon Brooks was different. So, anyway, both of those players are remarkable. I think if I was to have if I was building an all-time Eagles team, my left guard is Landon Dickerson. My right guard is Brandon Brooks. Just that simple. It's not even a conversation. The Eagles had no notable offensive linemen from the 90s or the 80s or whatever it may be, right? The Eagles struggled to build offensive lines back in the day. They did. The 2000s is when the Eagles offensive line really started to become what it was. So, yeah, if I'm building an all-time offensive line, Brandon Brooks is my right guard and Landon Dickerson is my left guard. He also has here Shawn Andrews and Evan Mathis. Now, he says here, Shawn Andrews was dominant in his short stint with Philadelphia, making 2 Pro Bowls and a first-team All-Pro in his 5 seasons. Evan Mathis was selected to 2 Pro Bowls and was a first-team All-Pro selection with the Eagles as well. Good choices. Very good choices. Evan Mathis and Shawn Andrews, again, they weren't here long, but they were very, very, very consistent. Now, center. He only picked 1 center, which is interesting. I thought he would at least pick 2. I thought he would at least pick 2. But I think he chose 1 because beyond Jason Kelce, there isn't really anybody who's elevated themselves to that stature yet. Now, obviously, Cam Jurgens, Pro Bowl his first year starting at center, Super Bowl champion his first year starting at center. You know, there's something to be said about that, right? But when you're building a all quarter century team, you have to ask yourself, is Cam Jurgens good enough to be on the 53? Because you're building a team. So, but to have 1 center, though, just feels almost awkward. But I understand it, though, because you got to justify having Cam Jurgens on the list and not having other players on the list. By the way, make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. If you guys are going through any sort of connectivity issues due to the Wi-Fi, I apologize for that. But for Jason Kelce, he says there's only 1 choice for this, and that was the best Eagles player to play this century to date. Kelce is one of the best centers in NFL history and one of the best players in Eagles history. I can't argue with that. It's pretty straightforward. He says here, Kelce earned all 6 of his first-team All-Pro selections in his 30s, the most ever by any player in his 30s. Jerry Rice and Bruce Smith are second with 5. He went out at the top of his game, earning 3 first-team All-Pro honors in his final 3 seasons. Kelce and Dwight Stevenson are the only 2 players in the Super Bowl era to earn 3 consecutive first-team All-Pro and Pro Bowl selections in each of their final 3 seasons. Only Jim Otto with 10 and Bulldog Turner with 7 have more first-team All-Pro selections at center than Kelce, who was a leader on the Super Bowl 52 championship team. Kelce has 6 first-team All-Pro selections. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. They got the Pro Bowls, got the longevity in terms of just being healthy. Kelce is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And only 2 centers have more than him. Only two centers have more first-team All-Pros than him. And that's Jim Otto with 10 and Bulldog Turner with 7. Not many centers have made the Hall of Fame, by the way. But I think Kelce should be a shoo-in. Shouldn't even be a question. He should be a 2-time Super Bowl champion, but I digress. All right. When we go to the edge, that's D-end or edge, right? We got Brandon Graham, Trent Cole, Hugh Douglas, Josh Sweat, and Hassan Reddick. Strong list. Very strong list. Brandon Graham has just been put in so much time with the Eagles. He's an all-time great. Trent Cole, Hugh Douglas was phenomenal in his day. Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick. You know, Hassan Reddick, he only gave the Eagles 2 seasons of this. But man, oh man, was it remarkable. Trent Cole is one of my favorite Eagles, personally. I was a Trent Cole fan growing up. He says here, the Eagles have a history of excellent pass rushers who carried over into this century. Graham played all 15 seasons in Philadelphia, winning 2 Super Bowl titles and having 76.5 sacks while being a longtime leader in the locker room. Cole had the most sacks this century for the Eagles with 85.5, having 4 double-digit sack seasons and 2 Pro Bowl selections. Hugh Douglas was the most dominant pass rusher, making 3 straight Pro Bowls from 2000 to 2002 and 2 All-Pro selections, the first-team All-Pro in 2000. He had 37 sacks in that 3-year stretch. Reddick made 2 Pro Bowls in his 2 seasons in Philadelphia, totaling 27 sacks in that span, and was instrumental in the Eagles making Super Bowl 52. He said he has here, Sweat had a case for Super Bowl 59 MVP based on his 2.5 sacks in the game, totaling 43 sacks in his 7 seasons with the team. His Super Bowl 59 performance was worth the spot. Yeah, he was remarkable in that game. He was remarkable. But, Hugh Douglas, Brandon Graham, Trent Cole, they were so productive for the Eagles. Super. Hassan Reddick, you can't ignore that. Alex says no Javon Curse, no Jason Babin. Definitely no Jason Babin. As far as Javon Curse, though, that's a good question. Let me see. Javon Curse, he spent 4 seasons in Philadelphia, but spent the bulk of his career in Tennessee. Javon Curse is a Philadelphia Eagle, 7.5. Javon Curse is an Eagle, put up 22 sacks, 24 TFLs. So, but he did most of his damage with the Tennessee Titans those first 3 years. He was the first team All-Pro his rookie year, Defensive Rookie of the Year as well, 3-time Pro Bowler. Then he got hurt in 2002 and came back in 2003, hit with 9.5 sacks. Then he had 7.5 in 04, 7.5 in 05. Then 06 through 09, he kind of, battled more injuries. Wasn't really the same player when he went back to Tennessee. But Javon Curse, he's another phenomenal edge guy for the Eagles, in my opinion. He was productive. He wasn't as dominant as, Reddick, or he wasn't as dominant as Hugh Douglas or Trent Cole, but Javon Curse was pretty productive. Granted, he only had 4 years with the Eagles, though. Only had 4 seasons with the Eagles. All right. It says here, let me keep this thing going. All right, let's go to D tackle. And if you guys are just joining the live stream, I'm going over Jeff Kerr's all-quarter century Philadelphia Eagles team via CBS Sports. So Jeff Kerr, an NFL reporter for CBS Sports, he came out with an all-time or an all-quarter century team for the Philadelphia Eagles. So all these players that we're discussing are the greatest players to play for the Eagles since the year 2000. At D tackle, we have Fletcher Cox, of course, Corey Simon, Jaylen Carter, and Javon Hargrave. Interesting. I would have to go back and do my due diligence on Eagles D tackles since the year 2000. And that's what I got to keep reminding myself of. This list is players from the year from the 21st century. Nobody from the 90s. Fletcher Cox, for obvious reasons. It says here, Fletcher Cox was one of the first players thought of when coming up with the quarter century team. One of the best D tackles of his era and presenting a strong Hall of Fame case. Cox made 6 Pro Bowls and 4 All-Pro teams with the Eagles. First team All-Pro in 2018. He also made an all-decade selection in the 2010s. Cox had 70 sacks in his 12 seasons with the Eagles. Jaylen Carter has only been in Philadelphia for 2 seasons and warrants a selection on the team. His dominance against the Rams in the divisional round of the 2024 playoffs sealed the victory and set the Eagles up for their Super Bowl 59 title. Carter is already a Pro Bowler and All-Pro in just his second season. Corey Simon had 32 sacks in 5 seasons with the Eagles, with 1 Pro Bowl appearance, while Hargrave made a Pro Bowl and had 23 sacks in his 3 seasons with the Eagles. So, production, man. Production. Fletcher Cox, Corey Simon. Let me look up Corey Simon's numbers, because Corey Simon, he was a problem. And Corey Simon only played in the league for like 7 years. And he didn't play in 2006 because he hurt his knee. So he was a pro for 8 years, but only played 7 years because of his knee. He tried to come back in 2007 for the Tennessee Titans, but he just wasn't the same after that knee injury. So Corey Simon was drafted in the first round by the Eagles, 6th overall in 2000. Corey Simon, his rookie year, played in 16 games, put up 9.5 sacks, 3 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 8 TFLs, and was an all-pro. No, I'm sorry, he wasn't an all-pro. He was in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Excuse me. 2001, 16 games played, 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 pass deflections, 50 total tackles, 39 solo, 12 TFLs. 2002 was a down year for him. 14 games played, 2 sacks, 3 pass deflections, 39 total tackles, 32 solo, 11 TFLs. So he was still getting in the backfield. Even though his sack numbers went down, he was getting in the backfield. We're talking about Corey Simon here. Corey Simon had 11 TFLs in 2002, 12 TFLs in 2001, and 8 TFLs in 2000. Me personally, I put TFLs in the same category as sacks. I think TFLs have the same worth as sacks do because you're still tackling a player behind the line of scrimmage. You're still killing a play that the offense is trying to execute. So, yeah, man. 03 bounce back season, 16 games played, 7.5 sacks, 42 total tackles, 33 solo, 2 forced fumbles, 2 pass deflections, 4 TFLs, a Pro Bowl selection. 2004, 16 games played, 5.5 sacks, 1 pass deflection, 9 TFLs, 32 total tackles, 26 solo. And then in Indy, 13 games played, no sacks. See, his best years were in Philadelphia. So, yeah, man. Corey Simon had a very short career. Played 5 years for the Eagles, only played 7 years in the league. When he was healthy, when he was on, he was on. So I think Corey Simon definitely deserves to be on his list. Definitely. Somebody who was a big disappointment for the Eagles, by the way. Let's not forget about this guy right here. Somebody who was a big disappointment for the Eagles, huge disappointment, was Broderick Bunkley. I don't know if you guys remember him, but Broderick Bunkley was a big disappointment. They drafted him in the first round, 14th overall. Never had more than 3 sacks in the season. Never had more than 3 sacks at all. (2007) was probably his best year because he had 3 sacks and he had 10 TFLs. That was probably his best year in the Philadelphia Eagles uniform, but he wasn't good, man. He wasn't good. He was very inconsistent. Anyway. And then Javon Hart, look, I think Jaylen Carter, he's going to become, because he's so good, like Fletcher Cox has made it challenging to become that one of the best D tackles the Eagles have ever seen. You know, Fletcher Cox has made it challenging. Jerome Brown has made it difficult. Oh my goodness. Reggie White makes it difficult. You know what I'm saying? So Reggie White, Fletcher Cox, Jerome Brown, they make it difficult, but Jaylen Carter is going to go down as one of the best. He's going to go down as one of the best. All right, let's see here. Let's keep this thing going here. Linebacker, Jeremiah Trotter Sr. and Zack Baun. Makes sense. The Philadelphia Eagles have not had consistent linebacker play over the past 25 years. They haven't. And Jeremiah Trotter Sr., we know what he did for the Philadelphia Eagles. It says here, the Eagles haven't had a great history of off-ball linebackers this century, but the two who made this team were exceptional. Trotter Sr. was one of the best Mike linebackers in football, making 4 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pro teams, first team All-Pro in 2000 to be specific, in his 3 stints with the Eagles. His return in 2004 helped pave the way to the Super Bowl 39 for the Eagles. Because remember, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. or Sr., he had like 3 different stints with the Eagles. He was there and he came back and he left and he came back and all that kind of stuff. It says Zack Baun arguably had the greatest individual season for a linebacker in franchise history in 2024. The first player to have 150-plus tackles and 5-plus forced fumbles in a season. Baun was the first-team All-Pro in 2024 and the catalyst towards the Eagles having the number 1 defense and dominating the Chiefs in Super Bowl 59. Zack Baun was also a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Pro Bowlers, first team All-Pro. He was so dominant, man. Forced turnovers in the play. How many turnovers did Zack Baun force in the playoffs? I think he forced like 3, something like that. I know he had forced fumbles. He had interceptions. Let me double check this. Zack Baun in the playoffs had 2 interceptions, 3 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 33 total tackles, 20 solo, 2 TFLs. Zack Baun was all over the place in the playoffs. He was phenomenal. He was phenomenal, man. Let's go to corners. Corners. When you think about it in the grand scheme of things, the Eagles have had a pretty good history at corner, but we've also had very rough stretches. So at corner, you have Troy Vincent, Darius Slay, Bobby Taylor, Asante Samuel, and Lito Shepherd. I'm not mad at this at all. I'm not mad at this at all. Troy Vincent was a problem with the Eagles. He spent 8 years with the Eagles, 4 years in Miami, 3 years in Buffalo, and 1 year in Washington. And them years with the Eagles, he put up, make sure I got this right here, with the Eagles, 118 games, 28 interceptions, 1 interception for a touchdown, 91 pass deflections, 10 forced fumbles, 4.5 sacks, 518 total tackles, 428 solo, 12 TFLs. All his Pro Bowls and All-Pro selections came when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. His prime was 29 to 33. He was a spectacular player. Spectacular player for the Philadelphia Eagles. Had a 7 interception season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons, 2 back-to-back All-Pro seasons. Let's read through this, though, okay? It says the Eagles have been blessed with great cornerback play over the last 25 years, making this group arguably the deepest position on the roster. Troy Vincent was one of the best cornerbacks in the game with the Eagles, making the Pro Bowl 5 consecutive years, and was a first-team All-Pro in 2002. Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent arguably were the best cornerback duo in football. Bobby Taylor, man, sheesh. Bobby Taylor spent 9 years with the Eagles, 1 year in Seattle, was drafted in 95. Troy Vincent was drafted in 92. Their careers overlap from 1996 to 2003. 1996 to 2003, that's where their careers overlap. And then that's where we get the new era. We get Lito Shepherd, who was drafted in 02. So Lito Shepherd was drafted in 02. Him and Sheldon Brown were drafted to replace Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent. Sheldon Brown spent 8 years in Philadelphia, 3 years with Cleveland. They both were drafted in 02. Lito Shepherd was drafted in the first round, 26th overall. Sheldon Brown was drafted in the second round, 59th overall, kind of reminiscent of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. But Lito Shepherd deserves to be on this list. Lito Shepherd has Pro Bowls and All-Pro. Bobby Taylor has a Pro Bowl as well, has a second-team All-Pro. Bobby Taylor with the Eagles has 119 career games played, 19 career interceptions, 78 pass deflections, 5 forced fumbles, 371 total tackles, 4 sacks, 318 solo, 10 TFLs. Lito Shepherd with the Eagles spent 7 years in Philadelphia, 18 career interceptions with the Eagles, 3 touchdowns on defense via interception, 3 forced fumbles, 70 pass deflections, 2 sacks, 258 total tackles, 226 solo. Lito Shepherd's best years were with the Philadelphia Eagles. His best season was 06, in my opinion. He had 6 interceptions, 19 pass deflections. I mean, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal, right? But yeah, that duo with Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd was good. The Troy Vincent, Bobby Taylor duo was good. The Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean duo was great. The Darius Slay, James Bradbury duo was really good for a season. Darius Slay is somebody who doesn't get enough respect, in my opinion. I think Darius Slay has been one of the most consistent players for the Philadelphia Eagles over the past 10 years. Well, since his whole time being here, pretty much. Darius Slay spent 5 years with the Eagles, 7 years in Detroit. While with the Eagles, 3 back-to-back Pro Bowl selections. He also had 3 back-to-back Pro Bowl selections with the Detroit Lions and 1 first-team All-Pro selection. So, yeah. Also, it says here, make sure I keep reading this. It says Slay was a leader on the Eagles defense for his 5 seasons in Philadelphia, winning a Super Bowl and making 3 Pro Bowls. Shepherd was a playmaker at cornerback after the Vincent Taylor era, making 2 Pro Bowls and earning a first-team All-Pro selection in 04. Asante Samuel had 23 interceptions in his first 4 seasons with the Eagles, making 3 Pro Bowls and leading the NFL in interceptions with 9 in 2008. Also a second-team All-Pro selection. He also had 2 interceptions in the 2008 postseason, a key contributor to the Eagles' surprise run to the NFC Championship game as a number 6 seed. So, Asante Samuel, another phenomenal player, man. Another phenomenal player. Now we're getting to safety. We're almost finished here, by the way. Safety. At safety, you got Brian Dawkins, of course, Malcolm Jenkins, of course, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Rodney McLeod, and Quinton Michael. So, Brian Dawkins and Malcolm Jenkins are no-brainers. He has here, he says the most obvious choice for the entire quarter-century team was Brian Dawkins, the lone Hall of Famer who played the majority of his career in Philadelphia this century. Dawkins earned 4 first-team All-Pro selections with the Eagles, 7 Pro Bowls, and is tied for the most interceptions in franchise history with 34. He also was a member of the 2000s All-Decade team. A 3-time Pro Bowler in Philadelphia and leader on the Super Bowl 52 team, Malcolm Jenkins played every snap on the Eagles' defense in 5 of his 6 seasons with the Eagles. The Eagles went to 2 Super Bowls with Gardner-Johnson at safety, as he had 12 interceptions in 28 games with the team. McLeod was a reliable starter for 6 seasons in Philadelphia and the leader on the Super Bowl 52 team, while Michael was a 2-time All-Pro at safety and an excellent special teams player. So, not a bad list at all. Not a bad list at all for safety, if you're being honest with you. For being honest. All right, kicker, David Akers. Of course, David Akers is goated. Now he doesn't have the Super Bowl, he doesn't have the Super Bowl experience like Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott is his 2-time Super Bowl champion. And Jake Elliott has a lot of postseason success, and he's very clutch. It says here, while it's hard to omit Jake Elliott for his postseason success and his clutch kicks in the Eagles uniform, Akers was one of the best kickers in the game when he was in Philadelphia. He made 5 Pro Bowls in his 12 seasons in Philadelphia while making 5 All-Pro teams. First team All-Pro in 2001. There weren't many kickers in the league more reliable than Akers, who was still kicking well into his 30s. So, listen, Jake Elliott, he can still go down as the greatest Eagles kicker if he keeps things going. I mean, he has 1 Pro Bowl, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He has a second-team All-Pro. He's 29 years old. Actually, he's 30. He turned 30 in January, so he's 30 years old. If Jake Elliott can add another Super Bowl, a couple more Super Bowls, and maybe get some more Pro Bowls under his belt, he could probably surpass David Akers. David Akers was, let's compare this real quick. David Akers played for a long time, man. He was kicking for 16 years. Spent 12 years in Philadelphia. He has 6 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pros, 4 second-team All-Pros. Yeah, man. David Akers was David Akers was legit, man. He was legit. Outside of playoff success, Jake Elliott is not scratching Akers. He would have to have a remarkable run to pass Akers. He would have to have like back-to-back seasons of first team, or he would have to have an unprecedented run. He would have to. But Jake Elliott does have 2 Super Bowls, and he was very instrumental in both of them. He was very instrumental. So, nonetheless. All right, punter Donnie Jones, of course. Donnie Jones was the punter for a long time. It says the Eagles had some good punters this century, but the punter on the Super Bowl team gets the nod. Jones had a 36.9% of his punts with the Eagles land inside the 20-yard line and averaged 40.5 net yards per punt. All right, kick returner Brian Mitchell. Easy to forget the impact Mitchell made on those Eagles teams in the early 2000s as he changed games returning kicks and punts. Mitchell had 2 kick returns for touchdowns and 2 punt returns for scores in the Eagles uniform, averaging 25.3 yards per kick return and 11.7 yards per punt return. Better than his average in Washington. Mitchell was still one of the best returners in the game, even in the later stage of his career. And punt returner, you got Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles was a wrecking ball for the Eagles returning punts, having 4 punt returns for touchdowns combined in 2014 and 2015, the most in the league. He made 3 consecutive Pro Bowls as a punt returner and was an All-Pro selection in 2014, all of which were in his 30s. All right. Okay. All right, that's pretty much it, though. So, yeah, that was pretty much the list. Eagles all-quarter century team. That was pretty much the list, you guys. So let me get this off the screen here. We took up a lot of time doing this. All right. Let's see where we are here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you for donating to the channel as well. If you guys want to continue to donate to the channel, all you got to do is click that super chat button at the bottom of the chat window, or you can donate a super sticker. I appreciate the love and the support, you guys. Shout out to Alex Kokorski, fan of the Eagles fan. I appreciate y'all for donating to the channel. But yeah, I think that list was pretty on point. I think that list was pretty great. I have no real complaints about the list, really. I probably would swap Chad Lewis for Dallas Goedert. I probably would do that. Maybe. But Chad Lewis has the Pro Bowls and the All-Pro on his resume. That makes it hard to bet against him. But Dallas Goedert has more overall production in the Eagles uniform. But I think the list was pretty good. I think the list was damn near perfect. It makes you think back like, damn, the Eagles have had some pretty phenomenal talent come through the city. It's pretty remarkable to think that. I mean, you got Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, Eagles Hall of Famers, man. Super Bowl champions, Like, I personally think we're living through a very special time in Eagles history. So, a lot of people would have considered that Andy Reid run with McNabb, but they weren't able to deliver. They weren't able to deliver. I would say ever since Howie Roseman took back full control, since 2016 or since 2017, however you want to put it, Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles, this organization has just been on a phenomenal run, on a phenomenal tear, man. Just winning, production, playoff berth after playoff berth. You have to give so much love to what they've built over the past nearly 10 years. These past 8 years has been great. If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, these past 8 to 10 years has been great. We're already in 2025. Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018, the 2017-2018 season, Super Bowl 52. They went back for Super Bowl 57. Lost, made it back to 59, won 2 Super Bowl wins in the past 8 seasons, past 7 years, 2 Super Bowl wins in the past 7 years. That's really remarkable. Really remarkable, you guys. So we should be grateful. All right, let's transition to another topic I have for you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I appreciate the love. Let's see what else I got here. I want to talk to you guys about some NFC East news, some NFC East stuff, okay? Because I'm looking at the Washington Commanders like they're idiots. I'm looking at them like they're idiots. I'm being honest. And by the way, I do mean harm. I do mean disrespect. I do mean ill will. I'm looking at the Washington Commanders like they're idiots because they playing with Terry McLaurin money. They playing with him now. I don't understand what's complicated about Terry McLaurin's situation. I really, really don't. Terry McLaurin has been the most productive Washington player in recent memory. Like, let's call it what it is. Scary Terry came into the league in 2019. And has been an all-time great Washington player. And they playing with his money. Scary Terry has been nothing but consistent for you guys. He's averaging over 1,100 yards a season for you guys, has over 6,300 yards for his career, 38 touchdowns, 460 catches, had a career year last year in terms of touchdowns. Finally had a quarterback. He's been keeping them afloat. He's been keeping them afloat while they've been playing with his career. He's been going through quarterback carousel after quarterback carousel, and they playing with his money. I'm looking at this article here, and it appears that the Commanders don't want to pay him $30 million. They don't want to pay him $30 million. And I don't understand why not. All the best receivers get paid 30 plus million. Most of the best receivers getting paid. Most of them number ones, most of them guys, they getting paid 30 plus million. I'm looking at these wide receiver contracts, right? Jamar Chase, 40.2 million. Well, 40.25 million. Justin Jefferson, 35 million. CeeDee Lamb, 34 million. DK Metcalf, 33. AJ Brown, 32 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 30 million. Brandon Ayuk, 30 million. Tyreek Hill, 30 million. Like, Commanders fans been saying Scary Terry is one of the ones, and I think he is. But why they playing with his money, though? It shouldn't even be a conversation. Now, look, maybe they figure it out, right? I think ultimately they'll figure it out. They'll be fools to not figure things out with Scary Terry. They'll be fools. Especially with Deebo Samuel looking overweight, looking slow, looking like he running with center blocks in his feet. Deebo looked washed. I seen that footage. I seen those clips of him at training camp or at OTAs. He looked fat. He looks fat. How old is Scary Terry? 29 years old. Came into the league at 24. What school he went to? Drafted in the 3rd round. Went to Ohio State. Come on, man. They playing. Like I said, I'm looking at some of these wide receiver numbers. It looks like we got a Commanders fan in the live chat. This person is saying here, his name is Big Simple. He's saying that they're going to make Terry the 2nd highest paid wide receiver. So you got them giving Scary Terry $36 million? I don't even got them giving him that, personally. I don't think he's getting $36 million. I think he deserves 30. I think he deserves 30 plus million for sure. He's 29. He's been an Iron Man. He doesn't miss games. Scary Terry hasn't missed a game since 2020. He's played in every single game since 2021. He's made 68 straight games. Make sure I got that right. You can't say you're concerned about his health. What is he? Look, he's 29. He'll be 30. Ooh, he'll be 30 when the season starts. He'll be 30 when the season starts. So are you guys going to give him what? 3 years, 90 million, 60 million guaranteed? What are you guys going to do about that? Because I think Scary Terry is one of the best receivers in football. He's definitely a top 20 receiver for sure. He's a number 1 for sure. I mean, he would be like a number 3 in Philly or something like that. He'd be like a number 3 in Philly. You know what I mean? Number 3, maybe number 2. I don't know. But yo, man. Nowadays as a quarterback, maybe this could be a second leg of Scary Terry's career. But I think they better stop playing with his money. Let me look at this article here. It says the Washington Commanders wideout Terry McLaurin skipped the mandatory minicamp. I forgot to mention that part. Scary Terry skipped the mandatory minicamp, and it's not the first time he did it. He skipped mandatory minicamp last time y'all played with his money, and y'all ended up paying him still. As a matter of fact, how much is Scary Terry making right now? Let's see where he at. Scary Terry. Scary Terry is making $22.78 million right now. 22.78. DeVonta's making 25. Nico Collins is making 24.25. Now, I think Terry McLaurin should get at least 30 mil. At least 30. You got to put him in that category. You got to put him in that category. Now, he's never had a season like A.J. Brown or CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. So maybe you can get away not paying him $35 million or more. You could probably, I think he ends up getting between 30 to 33 million. That's what I think. But they'll be fools to let him walk. They'll be fools to trade him. Because Deebo, I'm telling you, Deebo is not going to give you 17 games this year. Deebo looked cooked. I saw that footage, man. I saw that footage. In other news with the NFC East, I'm thinking about the Cowboys right now and how much of a joke they are. Because I've been doing my due diligence trying to keep up with the division. And it seems like the biggest news coming out of Cowboys training camp or the Cowboys offseason is the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders getting a pay raise. That's the biggest news to come out of Dallas. Is that they got is that they gave the cheerleaders a pay raise. I literally Googled Cowboys news, and all I see is cheerleaders talk. This is a problem. How are the cheerleaders the talk of the town more so than the damn players? You know? The Cowboys do not want to be taken seriously. They want us to think they taking them seriously. They want us to think they taking it seriously, but they really not. They're really, really not. All right. Where are we right here? Let me look at my topics. I pretty much got to everything. Oh, one final topic, you guys. Have a final topic. I want to talk to you guys. Actually, two final topics. I want to talk to you guys about Shedeur Sanders. This is kind of AFC North talk right here. I want to talk to you guys about Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders got into some trouble recently. He's gotten speeding tickets in the Ohio area. And he's gotten 2 of them, as a matter of fact. 2 of them for going well above the speed limit. Recently, he was cited for going 101 miles per hour in a 60. He was going 160. And previously, he was cited for going 91 in a 65. Here's the thing. Now, we've seen how these situations can go terribly wrong. We've seen how terribly wrong these situations can go with speeding. Now, he obviously he wasn't under the influence. He wasn't drinking. He wasn't doing none of those things, right? He was just being a young guy driving a fast car, right? I drive fast sometimes. So it's not the biggest deal. Getting a speeding ticket is not the biggest deal. What it could become, what it could amount to is the big deal, right? And also because Shedeur is already in a situation where people are really observing him with a microscope, with a magnifying glass. He's prime Sanders' son. He can't afford to have his name associated with anything negative because people already feel like he's entitled. People already feel like he doesn't deserve he didn't deserve to go in the first round, which he didn't. He ended up going, I think, in the 5th or 6th round, something like that. Either the 4th, 5th, or 6th round. I can't remember. But Shedeur is not in a situation where he's built up enough equity with the Cleveland fan base, with the NFL. He has to do everything possible to keep his nose and his hands clean. Because they're waiting for that young brother to fail. They're waiting for Shedeur to get into some nonsense. They're waiting for Shedeur to prove why he wasn't a first-round pick. They're waiting for Shedeur to prove why he doesn't deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Shedeur has actually had a good offseason with the Browns. Everything I've read, everything I've heard Shedeur has had a really good offseason. He's competing with Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. Deshaun Watson is still hurt. You don't want to add to a negative narrative that already surrounds you. You don't want to add to that, right? He has to be squeaky clean. And I know he knows that. And again, in the macro, speeding tickets are not a big deal. People get them. But when you're Shedeur Sanders and you're trying to prove that you can be a franchise guy, you can be a guy that your team can build around, you can be somebody that can be trusted, not only on the field, but off the field. That's what Shedeur is battling. That's what he's trying to work to. He's trying to prove he is a top-tier talent. He can be trusted. He is mature. He is a leader on and off the field. Getting speeding tickets left and right, getting 2 speeding tickets since being in Cleveland is not a good look. especially when people already look at you funny. He's battling a lot of different narratives here. So Shedeur has to do a better job at navigating the terrain. He's a pro. Act like it, big dog. I'm rooting for you. I want Shedeur to be the guy in Cleveland. I think Shedeur can be the guy. Like I said, I've heard nothing but great things about Shedeur Sanders. But he has to do a better job at navigating that landscape of being presidential. You know, being a franchise quarterback goes beyond just being talented, right? You got to be presidential. You got to move. You got to move like everything ain't worth your time. You can't go to every event. You can't be out here speeding. You can't be out here drinking and driving. You can't be a nuisance. You can't be having disorderly conduct. You don't want to be caught up with the law if you're trying to prove that you're a quarterback in the NFL. The quarterback is the most high-profile position in sports. Any sport you can think of, quarterback is the most high-profile position. And Shedeur Sanders is playing that. And he's trying to prove that he's the franchise version of that. You can't be out here speeding, brother. Slow down. Wherever you got to get to is going to be there. Slow down, bro. Because worst case scenario, you hurt somebody. Worst case scenario, you hurt somebody. So now we ain't talking about football no more. We're talking about real life. You don't want to be Henry Ruggs. You don't want to be Rashid Rice. You feel what I'm saying? Even Jaylen Carter got in trouble. You don't want to be caught up in those situations. People get hurt. People die. Shedeur, let's keep it about football. Let's keep it about football. And look, and when he was in college, he didn't get in trouble at all. The most you had on him in college was he got a boot on his car. That's the most you had on him. Okay. But other than that, Shedeur's been pretty clean, man. Heard great things about him in Cleveland's OTAs and mandatory minicamp. But he has to lay low, man. You got to lay low. You're a pro now, brother. All right, final topic. I want to discuss Jaire Alexander going to the Baltimore Ravens. Final topic, you guys. Jaire Alexander signed with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the specifics of the deal, I'm not too sure about right now. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find the specifics of the deal. Because I don't think it's been revealed just yet. So they signed him on Wednesday morning. I don't think the details of the deal have been fully revealed yet, but I mean, listen. I look at the Baltimore Ravens and I say to myself, hey, okay. Your secondary is legit. I'm not going to hold you. Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Higgins, or is it Wiggins? I always mess that up. Is it Nate Wiggins or Higgins? Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins. You feel what I'm saying? Jaire Alexander. That's a legit secondary. That defense is legit. You feel me? I'm sitting here trying to figure out what's been stopping the Ravens from getting over the hump. And shout out to Eric DeCosta. Eric DeCosta is a phenomenal GM in football. Learned under Ozzie Newsome. But I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens, and a lot of people said, hey, the Baltimore Ravens are winning the offseason, had a phenomenal. They also drafted Mike Green. I think Mike Green led the nation in sacks out of Marshall. Mike Green was a phenomenal college player, had some off-the-field issues, but they still drafted him. He fell to the second round. They drafted Malachi Starks and Mike Green in back-to-back rounds. You signed Jaire Alexander. You got the two-time MVP in Lamar Jackson. You got Zay Flowers, an ascending number 1 receiver who's a playmaker. You got Rashad Bateman, who's emerging as a productive number 2 on the NFL level. Let me look at some of this production here, man. Zay Flowers over 1,000 yards. Rashad Bateman over 750 yards. Mark Andrews over 670 yards. Isaiah Likely over 470 yards. Like, I'm looking at the production that he's getting from the receiving position, Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at the production of the defense. The defense, you had Kyle Van Noy with 12.5 sacks. Odafe Owe with 10 sacks. Nnamdi Madubuike with 6.5 sacks. Tavius Robinson with 3.5 sacks. You had Kyle Van Noy with 14 TFLs. Nnamdi Madubuike with 11 TFLs. Odafe Owe with 9 TFLs. Marlon Humphrey with 6 interceptions. Kyle Hamilton, 9 pass deflections. Marlon Humphrey, 15 pass deflections. You had Derrick Henry rush for over 1,900 yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, averaged over 110 yards a game. I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens and I'm saying to myself, when? I can't look at Jaire Alexander and say, oh, the Baltimore Ravens, they're the team to beat in the AFC now. No, they're not. No, you're not. What's that meme with the bull from No Jumper? He said, no, you're not. No, you're not. I'm sorry. The Baltimore Ravens are not the team to beat in the AFC. You want to know why? Because they always get beat in the playoffs. Now, are the Ravens a contender? Yeah. Are they Super Bowl contenders? Yeah. Don't get it twisted. The Ravens, they're Super Bowl contenders. The Buffalo Bills, Super Bowl contenders. But let's focus on the Ravens here. They're contenders. That's all they are, though. They're not the team to beat. You want to know who the team to beat is? The Chiefs. Because they won the AFC 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row. They've beaten the Ravens. They've beaten the Buffalo Bills. The Ravens are not the team to beat. And the thing is, I actually like the Ravens. I like them as an organization. I've always liked their players. I actually have no personal gripe. Against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't. But when you think about who they've been, what Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome have done to invest in this roster, to put all the pieces around Lamar, to put the pieces on defense, they've done a lot. They've done a lot to make sure this team contends. There's no reason why the Ravens shouldn't have seen at least one Super Bowl in the Lamar Jackson era. There's no reason, except for, if we're going to be technical, except for Lamar Jackson's 7 interceptions in the playoffs, except for Lamar Jackson's, make sure I got this right here, his fumbles in the playoffs. Let me see if I can find fumbles lost. Here we go, fumbles. Like, this can't keep happening. I think Lamar Jackson has, 10 turnovers in the playoffs? Something like that. All I'm trying to get across is that I understand that Jaire Alexander, he's I think him and Lamar was at Louisville at the same time. They go, they got a relationship. This guy, the Baltimore Ravens, it gets to a point where you start getting impatient. You get impatient. I don't know what to expect from them. I know they're going to win a lot of games. I know they're going to be in the playoffs. But other than that, I don't know. They can't get over the hump. They can't beat the Chiefs. They can't beat the Bills. It's whatever's going on with the Baltimore Ravens. It's not a talent issue. They've had talent. They've had top 5 defenses. They've had top 5 offenses. You know, if not that, they definitely had top 10 offenses, top 10 defenses many times. Many times. But every time the playoffs come, they become something else. Same thing goes for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, he has a lot of stats. AJ Harris says, Tone, you see where Lamar clapped back at your MJ? What do you mean? At my MJ. Are you talking about Miles Johnson? I had Miles Johnson on my channel not too long ago. Are you talking about Miles Johnson, AJ Harris? I'm not exactly sure if that's what you're talking about. But regardless, though, the Baltimore Ravens, I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, no. Did he? Did he now? Did he? What'd he say? What'd he say? Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. What'd he say? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. I love how y'all lame stay on my pipe. Lamar, no excuses. When the F have I ever complained? Just say we have a solid on paper roster. So far, all the others not called for. You don't play for the Eagles, little bro. Continue to be a fan of the game. Yo, what? Let me bring this on screen, yo. I didn't know he went at you, bro. Shout out to my man Miles Johnson, yo. I didn't know he went at you, bro. Oh, that's funny. That is funny, yo. Yeah, Miles, what's up, bro? Oh, shoot. Let me bring this on screen, yo. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. Yo, I gotta hit him up, yo. Let me text him, yo. Yo. Let me text him. That's hilarious. Let me text him, yo. Yo. This is so funny. This is so funny to me. I'm texting him right now. This is nuts. Yo. Let me put it up on screen, yo. My bad. Let me bring it up on screen. Yo. So this is what he said, yo. I didn't even notice. So Miles has been very critical of Lamar Jackson lately. I will admit that. Miles has been very critical of Lamar Jackson. within reason, in my opinion. But, he says, I love how y'all lame stay on my pipe. Lamar, no excuses. When the F have I ever when have I ever complained? Just say we have a solid on paper roster so far. All that other ish not called for. You don't play for the Eagles, little bro. Continue to be a fan of the game. But he didn't know. He didn't. Hold on. Let me rewatch. Let me rewatch that video, yo. Let's find. Hold on. Let me rewatch that video because did he really say something crazy? Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to find the exact video. Here it is. Okay. Here it is.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. The Ravens are pissing me off. And I'll say this. Lamar Jackson, no excuses now. No excuses, bro. Because you got a damn good roster. One of the best rosters in the NFL. So if you're that guy that they say that you are, get it done this season. It is Super Bowl or bust. You got Jaire Alexander. You got Malachi Starks, Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey. That is by far the best secondary in the league. You have a phenomenal run defense, man.
It's true.
And you got Mike Green, who is a top 17, top 15 talent in the first round. Y'all got him in the second round. How y'all do that? I don't know how y'all did it, but y'all did it. He had the off-field issues, but regardless, I was surprised he dropped that low to y'all. That's a steal. And so Lamar, offensively, you got the best tight end tandem in the NFL by a long shot. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. You got Derrick Henry, a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He's not lying.
Emerging star. And you got Rashad Bateman coming off a career year as the wide receiver too. It's no excuses, brother.
He not wrong. What did he say wrong? Like, what did he say? He ain't say nothing wrong. And Lamar funny because like nobody talking about you complaining. Nobody was talking about you complaining. He didn't disrespect him. He didn't call him out his name. He spoke about him. He mentioned nothing but facts. He brought up the fact that defense is legit. He brought up the fact that y'all got talent on both sides of the ball. He brought up the fact that at some point you got to get it done. Like, come on, man. Stop it. Mackenzie Martin says Lamar was right to come at him like that. He has never talked about himself being a top 4 quarterback or anything else. All the narrative has been from the media hyping him up. He's just trying to humbly work. With all due respect, Miss Martin, nah. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. First of all, Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks in football, if not the best. You don't have to self-proclaim that for it to be a fact. It's a fact. Lamar Jackson has been one of the best quarterbacks in football. He's a 2-time MVP, multiple-time first-team All-Pro. Has had Super Bowl caliber rosters, defenses. Has had top 10 offensive defenses regularly. And when the playoffs come, he wilts. That is a fact. So, like, Lamar saying, listen, I don't have no problem with Lamar saying, I don't have a problem with players responding to people, by the way. Let me make that clear, too. I don't have a problem with players responding to people who call them out. I actually like that. I like that a lot. I think that's dope. Personally, I like players taking control of their narrative. I like players defending themselves. But the best way to defend yourself is do your thing on the football field, bro. Like there are no more excuses. I don't think there was none last year, but I digress. I don't think there aren't any more excuses. That's not to say Lamar has made excuses. I don't think Lamar has made excuses. Now, have people made excuses for Lamar? Sure. So, like, I think it's Lamar trying to be slick a little bit. He's trying to be slick a little bit. Like Lamar, we know you don't complain. Lamar, you don't complain. You never have complained. You're not known for that. You grind, you put the work in, you humble, you give back to the community, you're productive, one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. Lamar, there's nothing but great things to say about you. But when we start getting to team and playoff success, at some point, people are going to start talking about that. At some point, people are going to start saying, hey, yo, like 11 turnovers in the playoffs? What? That don't make sense to me. Hold on, wait. In the playoffs, okay, I see 10 passing touchdowns. I see 3 rushing touchdowns. So 13 touchdowns, 11 turnovers. Like, that's not hearsay. That's not hearsay. Those are the facts. Those are playoffs. Those are in the playoffs. So, you know, shout out to my man MJ, man, for standing 10 toes. Because I don't think he said nothing wrong, for being honest with you. He just called it like it was. And I just think Lamar didn't like that. I just think Lamar, a hit dog gonna holler every time, by the way. He don't like that. I think Lamar personally is feeling the pressure. It gets to a point where you start saying, okay, they've given you the rosters. Eric DaCosta has spared no expense. Eric DaCosta has spared no expense. You got talent on offense. You got the running back. You got the weapons. You got the offensive line. You got the defense. You got the coaching. Listen, man. Shout out to my man MJ, man. Shout out to my man MJ, bro. He said, yo, get off my pipe. Yo, Lamar funny, bro. He funny. He said, man, it's funny. He said, y'all lames always on my pipe. Pause, bro. Pause. Come on, man. We talking football. He ain't saying nothing crazy about you. He ain't disrespect you. He ain't call you out your name. He kept it strictly football. Strictly football. Shout out to my man Miles Johnson. He kept it strictly football. I think Miles handled it with like a good sport too. He handled it well too. He handled it well. So yeah. How long? Yo, we've been live for a long time, yo. We've been live for over 2 hours. I ain't done what it is in a minute. So, you know, my whole thing with sports talk is as long as you keep it respectful and keep it on ball, anything is all on the table. If you keep it about ball, it's always on the table. Nothing is off the table. Now, when you start talking about guys' personal lives, when you start talking about their family, talking about how they spend their personal, like when you start getting too much into their personal business and making accusations and making assumptions about just how they carry themselves off the field, then you start crossing the line, right? But if it's on the football field, if it happened within the confines of football, if it's football related and nobody called you out your name, nobody disrespected you, then I don't think it should be off limits, personally. I think Miles Johnson was perfectly within bounds. I think he was professional. And by the way, Miles has been on this. He's been on this Lamar Jackson kick for a while now. I think Lamar finally got tired of it though. That's what I think. Because he has more videos discussing Lamar Jackson in terms of just like comparison, and he talks about the NFL, but he has other videos where Lamar Jackson's come up, and I think it's funny how this is the one video that actually cut through. So, listen, I've had stuff cut through. I've had an Eagles player reach out to me before about something I said. I've had an Eagles player reach out to me before about something I said. Mackenzie Martin back again. Thank you, Mackenzie, for supporting the show. She says, I agree with if we keep it related to the ball. However, fans and media are overly critical. Imagine someone coming to your job every day and telling you how bad you suck at your job and they've never played. I see what you're trying to say, Mackenzie. Again, I appreciate you for being involved in the conversation because it really helps the content grow. I appreciate you. I've never seen you here, so I think you're new to the show, maybe. But here's my perspective, right? Yeah, keep it on ball, and we all good, right? There are some people who clearly have agendas, right? Like there are certain people where like it's like, okay, you always on this guy's back every chance you get. Like there are certain people in media that go out their way. Oh, okay, bet. Shout out to Mackenzie. I appreciate you. Thank you for showing love, Mackenzie. Thank you for supporting the link up as well. Thank you. But yeah, there are certain people in the media space that go out their way to criticize certain people. Like, for example, when Stephen A. Smith was on that Kyrie Irving run, I was like, bro, like, relax. Boy, I don't understand. What's your beef with Kyrie for real? It felt more than just football. I mean, basketball, right? Like, there's certain moments where you see people with an agenda. And it looks funny in the light. And they try to act like it's strictly sports, but it looked funny. But as far as, somebody coming to your job every day and telling how bad you suck at your job and they've never played, the thing is, with Lamar Jackson in particular, we know he doesn't suck, though. That's the thing. We know Lamar Jackson is a legit baller. We know Lamar can play. We know Lamar can play with the best of them. We know Lamar is a stat sheet stuffer, passing yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, at the acrobatics. We know Lamar is the truth. He is one of the ones. But we can't ignore how much data we have regarding him in the playoffs. I think that's something we have to be honest about. I think we can be honest about that and not be disrespectful, or it shouldn't be taken as disrespect when we're only acknowledging the reality. Sometimes the reality is uncomfortable for people, but the reality is Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal player, phenomenal talent, one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen play the game. We've ever seen. But when it comes to the playoffs, for some reason, him and the Ravens can't get out of their own way. And we've seen this Ravens team be talented. We saw what that Ravens team did to the Steelers. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like their offense became anemic against the Buffalo Bills. That's not an opinion. That's like that's what happened. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is 3-5 in the playoffs. He's 3-5 in the playoffs. Back-to-back seasons where he lost in the divisional round. Didn't he make it to an AFC championship at one point? when they were number 1 seed. Let me see something. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Lost to the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. And lost to the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. Look, man. So it's just at some point, man, like the evidence is the evidence, and guys got to stop. Look, they're never going to stop taking it personally. They're never going to stop taking it personally. Once again, make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I appreciate the love and the support. You guys have been great, man. We're going to get out of here pretty soon, though. I didn't even intend on this segment lasting as long as it did, but thank you guys for donating to the channel. Shout out to Alex for donating to the channel twice today. Shout out to Kyle Kokorski for donating to the channel today as well. You guys are capable of doing that via super chat at the bottom of the chat window. Also, shout out to Miss Fanny for donating to the channel. And also shout out to Tiffany Dark Chocolate for being a member. I really do appreciate you, Tiffany. Shout out to all my members, man. You guys are great. You guys are truly great. So I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. We've been live for over 2 hours, 2 hours and 21 minutes to be exact. So let's begin to close this show out. As a reminder, you guys can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch the playback on YouTube. You can also find the short form content on TikTok and on Instagram as well, and on X. So make sure you guys follow me and subscribe to me on all those platforms as well. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Really appreciate all the supporters, new and old. You guys are great, and it's straight like that. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II. And you guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.